Hi everyone, welcome you all. In our previous video, we have seen introduction about database testing. And as part of that, we have discussed about what is database testing and what is the difference between user interface and database testing. And also we have discussed about different types of database testing. Now in the today's video, I'm going to show you how we can set up environment to perform database testing. So before performing database testing, we need to set up the environment. So first we need to install database server, and in which we need to have the database along with the required schemas. And then we will explore those schemas and then we will start the database testing. So now we'll start with environment setup. So first of all, what we need to do is we need to first download and install MySQL. So you can use any database server. You can use either Oracle or MS SQL server or any other databases, but I am using here is MySQL. Okay. So download and install MySQL. So this is a first prerequisite. So for that, what you need to do is we need to go to this link, and I will provide this link in the description. You can get it from there. So go to directly this link, and they provided installer of MySQL server. So you can just download and install. So you can just look at here, MySQL community downloads. In this link, you can get it here. So MySQL installer for Windows. You can just click on this link, and again it will go to the next page, and here you can it will show you two different flavors, and one is for web community, the other is for installer community. So installer only for community. So you can just select the second option if you want to install MySQL server on your local machine as a standalone software. And once you click on this download, it will try to download your MySQL server installer in the .msi file. So once you get that file, you can start installing the MySQL server. So for that, I'm just going to share this video. Okay, so here I'm just giving the link how to install a MS SQL server or how to install MySQL on your Windows operating system. So you can just go to the video how to install MySQL on Windows. So you can just go to the video and you will be able to understand how we can install MySQL on Windows. I clearly explain step by step. And along with the installation, I also explained about database clients, like how to use SQL Workbench and how to use command line clients, how to connect to the database. So the basic stuff I have already explained in this video. So please go to the video. So before proceeding further, okay, this is as a prerequisite. So once you install MySQL on Windows, so the second thing is we need to have a database schema. So for database testing, we need to have one database schema. So for that, I'm using a sample database schema. I'm going to download, which is basically classic models. Okay, so the first part is we have successfully downloaded and installed MySQL server. And the second step is we need to have sample database. Download MS SQL sample database. The database name is classic models. So how to download this classic model? So you can just go to this website, and here you can just search for download classic models database. Okay, and you can get it directly from their MySQL website itself. You can just look at here, MySQL sample database. And this is more popular database. So by default, you will get it through MySQL. But you will get only the schema, but you don't have any tables or anything. So we need to download the data and we need to populate in our database. So if I just go to this link, and they will provide you how to download MySQL sample database. You can just click on this link, download MySQL sample database. And as soon as you click on this link, which will download one small zip file, and go to this zip file. And once you extract it, you will see small SQL file here, MySQL sample database.SQL file you can see. And this particular file we have to import. And from this particular file, we have to load the data into our database. So for that, what we need to do is we need to first go to MySQL. So whichever we have installed in the first step, we need to first go and open the workbench. So as soon as you have installed MySQL database server, by default, you will get the workbench, MS SQL workbench. This is a client software of MySQL database server. And now open this. And as soon as you open this client, and you will able to connect to the local server. So currently MySQL is installed on my local machine. So you can just go to the database and connect to the database. And here you need to provide the connection details. Like I provided something like local host name, and 3306 is a default port number of MySQL, and I'm giving root username. And if password is required, and you can specify the password also. And once you provide the connection details of your database here, you can just say okay, and it will automatically connect it to the your local database. And if I just look at here, there are some default databases you can see already here. And these databases by default comes along with the MySQL server, which is by default it is provided. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to create our own database, and then we need to import the data into the database for our testing. So we already downloaded this MySQL sample database. So now we need to have this in our MySQL server. So for that, we need to first open the SQL editor, and here we can execute all the SQL statements in MySQL client or MySQL workbench client. So how to create a database? I'm just creating the new database. How to create it? Create. And sometimes if you already have the database in this list, you don't need to create again. Okay. If the database is not available, then you need to create it. So create a database. This is a command which we have to give. Create a database, and then database name. I say classic models. So as soon as you executed this command, this will create a new database. And if you refresh here, you can see the new database which is created. And inside this, there are no objects are available. There are no database objects, like we don't have tables, views, store procedure, functions, right? Only the folders are there, but we don't have any objects here. This is completely new database. So now to perform the testing, we need sample tables, right? We need to create some sample views, store procedure, functions, and so on. So we will see them later. So first of all, let us try to dump some sample data, okay, to start testing. So for that, whatever file we have already downloaded, so we need to just import this data into your database. So how to import this data? So we need to keep this SQL file in some folder, and then go to MySQL workbench. From here, you need to just go to the server menu. So in the server menu, you can find something called data import. So once you click on this data import, and you can easily import the data into the databases, any of these databases. And we already downloaded one file, right? We need to select the second option here, because that is a self-contained file. And import from self-contained file, here we need to browse that particular file. So you can click on this browse option and select the file whichever we downloaded. It is basically .sql file, then open. And once you browse the file, in the next field, we need to specify default target schema. So we already created classic models, right? So we need to dump this data into the classic models. Now here, select the classic models from the drop down. So if you already created the database here, which will automatically pop up in this drop down. And we selected the source, and this is a target database. And as soon as selected these two, then you can say start import button here. You can see start import. And once you click on the start import, all the data will be imported into your classic models database. And still it is doing it. Yeah. So once it is done, you can just close this window and then go to the database back. And here, if I just refresh this project, refresh your database, you can see all the tables are automatically populated. Now you can also see the tables like this. So which database you are going to connect now? Classic model. So you can use one command called use classic models. And whenever you want to work with any databases here, first we need to use the database. This is a command which will automatically connect to any of the database. And from there, we can execute other queries. So we can just execute this statement. And now it is currently pointing to classic models. And then I want to see all the tables which are available in the classic models. So we can execute one more command called show tables. So this particular command will show you what are all tables which are available in the classic models database. Okay. So now let us explore this schema of these each and every table. So for that, they also given the documentation. So this is actual schema of classic model database, which contains a number of tables like payments, customers, orders, offices, employees, product lines, products, order details. So altogether 6, 7, 8 tables are there in the database. And each table is internally connected with the primary key and foreign key. So we will also validate them later. And if I just look at each and every table is having their own purpose. So you can just look at here customers. This is the table basically stores the customers data. And the products is a table which is basically stores the all the product information, and product lines will store different category of the products, and orders table will store the orders which are done by the customers or placed by the customers. And order details is another table, other table which will store the sales order line items for each sale order. So this will store more detailed information about the orders. And payments information, payments table will store the payments made by the customers based on their account. And then employees table, which is having all employees data which are who are working under the particular organization or particular store. And finally offices table, which stores the sales office data. So these are the basic tables which are available or which are provided as part of classic models database, and which is also having some data. And if you want to see some data from the customers, you can simply say select star from customers and execute this query, and it will show you what is the data which is available in this table. Okay. Similarly, every table is already populated some data which is already available. So now our environment setup is done. So we have successfully installed MySQL Server database. Second step, we have downloaded MySQL sample database and we have imported that into database. And also we have explored the database schema, which is classic model. So classic models contains a totally 8 tables. So what are those tables? We have customers table, employees table, offices, order details, orders, payments, product lines, and products. So again, each table is having different number of columns, and each column is having different type of data types and everything. So we will see all these things as part of testing. So this is a basic thing which we need to set up before going for testing. Okay. So in the next video, we will see how we can test different objects of database, like how to test the table, how to test the view, and how to test the relation between the tables. Okay. So whatever types of testing we have discussed in the previous video, so we will do all kinds of testings practically on the database objects. Okay. That we will see in the coming video. So that's all for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. In the next video, we will see.